This is a Willets Point Shea Stadium bound 7 express train. The next and last stop is Willets Point, Shea Stadium.
Oh, yes, it is Anthony Rivera from the Subway to Shea podcast, talking to you about all the news and happenings surrounding that team from Queens, the New York Mets. It is a series preview as the Mets take on the Cincinnati Reds on their first road trip of the season. I got my good friend alongside me, Keef from the Shea and Sons podcast. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good, man. I'm very happy to not have the floor be shaking currently, but other than that, I'm okay. I'm a little angry at the Mets, but I'm just glad the floor is not moving, you know?
Yeah, a lot of people on Twitter were saying that the Pete Alonso home run actually landed, so that's why we were getting all that earthquake that happened earlier this morning. Hopefully everyone's okay, everyone that's listening. So far, 10 people in the room. Hopefully you guys are all right through that whole, I guess, East Coast earthquake that we received. That was a wild,
Insane.
10 minutes.
Yes. It was actually surreal, but you know what? I'll take that. Pete Alonso was the reason for it. I like that.
Well, Pete Alonso kind of saved the day, and I don't want to say saved the season. That's a little much, but man, we were going to be off to a rough start if he didn't hit that home run. Mets started off the season 1-5. I didn't think that was going to happen. I'm pretty sure you didn't think that was going to happen. We both saw each other Saturday at the game, and it was great to finally meet in person. We had Rube there. Everybody was there. Everybody was
it was a good vibe.
Out.
It really actually was a good vibe. Actually, because we started the way we did, or the way we have for that matter, and it pains me more because it's nice to be around Met fans that are really really cool. Like, finally getting to meet you and all the other guys. I'm like, man, I would love to do this a lot more. So many people that we could just talk baseball about, especially about the team we love, and then they do that. So it's like, but we'll be fine eventually. We'll be fine. It's not all doom and gloom. I'm trying my best to uplift my spirits.
Yeah, I know. We have our little chat outside of the outside of Twitter, and it's just like damage control, trying to console each other, trying to do therapy on each other, and make sure we're all okay. Ibby's a part of that, and he's in the chat as well right now.
Shout out Ibs, man.
Appreciate
he was
man.
hanging out with us.
Yeah, man. Although it took him a really long time to get up to our section. I don't know what happened. He texted me a half hour beforehand. I didn't see him until a half hour later. Thought he got stuck on the escalator or something. But
he was moving like on Puerto Rican time. So it's all good. It's all fine. I got it.
Got to meet him. Got to meet his wife as well. So that was really cool. And like I said, man, it was great hanging out with the content creators there. We had Rube there. It was just a fun time. Even though they lost, had a fun time seeing it. I know you left before the game ended, and you missed Edwin Diaz coming out for the first time.
Real fun story. I parked not too far. We were able to catch everything in the car, and we actually were thoroughly entertained because only the Mets can provide that sort of entertainment. The minute we leave, Brett Beatty hits a home run off a lefty that they told me he can never do. Edwin Diaz, all that. I'm like, of course, me and my brother have to, leave the stadium because we thought it was just going to get worse, and then all that happens. But at least they showed some fight that day.
They did, and I appreciate that. I like them to get to the point where they're not just coming up short, because we've been in that phase for a very long time now. Yes. I like them to actually come back and finish the comeback at some point, and I hope that we get there sometime soon. But until then, shout out to everyone that's in this room with us. Shout out to the chat. 34 people in here. Make sure you're subscribing to Subway to Shea. Make sure you're liking this video. Make sure you're subscribing to Shea and Sons. Great content they have coming out. You guys are doing a lot of recaps of the series. I see them all set up on your page.
Yeah, so we unfortunately, for anyone who's asked, this has been a weird week for baseball scheduling. Me and my brother are big wrestling fans. WrestleMania is this weekend. We were kind of like in and out of like work schedules. One of our birthdays is coming up. So hopefully after the Red Series, we can get back on track. We'll provide you all the actual, real raw stress moments of Mets fandom, but we'll get back on there. So thankfully you kind of got me back into the mode of this because, man, it's been tough to talk about these boys, man.
Yeah, like maybe about an hour and a half. We have these days, right? Like about an hour and a half. I'm like, man, do I really want to do a show and talk about the Mets? Because like I know they won game 2, but it doesn't feel like they won game 2.
Yeah,
Like I'm happy that it was just like a stress relief that they got through it and
yeah.
were able to come across with the win. But last Sunday I did one heading into the Tigers series, and I was like, oh, I'll do one this Sunday as well. And I was like, wait a minute, this Sunday's WrestleMania. I can't do it. So
Yeah, no.
Monday will be the Braves series, and hopefully the Mets have taken this series against Cincinnati. Shout out to Teron Rivera. Shout out Carlos Ortiz in the chat. Shout out Maureen. She's in there. Junior Swingman. I said before, Ibby, Patty in NYC's in here. Stevie Mac also in here. Stony814 also in here. Shout out goes to Shea and Sons. Somebody Shea. What's going on? How you doing? Appreciate you in here. And before we go into what is going to be this series preview, I like to do a quick recap. I know we don't want to do it, but kind of have to do it. So we're gonna,
we definitely have to do it.
yeah, we'll chat about it a little bit. I got a little slide here for us to look at the Mets and Tigers series. Tigers take the series 2-1. Mets offense has been the biggest problem. They continue to struggle. You look at the stats here, 173 batting average, the worst in Major League Baseball, worse than the, I guess, 0-8 Miami Marlins, worse than the Oakland A's, who are about to become the Sacramento A's for a couple of years. You look at the on-base percentage, 28th, slugging, 30th. They've only scored 13 runs, 29th. It's just not been there. They were no hit for about 8 innings, and I think 13 innings total. They were no hit for between 2 games. The positives: solid pitching from starters, relievers, 2.37 ERA. That's third in Major League Baseball, first in the National League. So we like to see that carry over from spring training. We got great pitching performances from Sean Manaea, Adrian Hauser, and Jose Buto. They go more than 5 innings, and I appreciate that because we need that from our starting rotation. Manaea, he had pitched 5 2/3 of no-hit ball. The Mets eventually lost. Like, actually, the Mets could have swept this series. We should be 3-3 right now. Milwaukee, I understand they kind of, I don't know, slept walk through Milwaukee, and Milwaukee showed them what we want to be like because Stearns built that team. Then you look at the final game. Pete Alonso had the game-tying home run in the 9th. Fastest Met to 500 RBI, so congratulations to him. Congratulations to Carlos Mendoza, who wins his first career game as a manager, although rocky first 6 games for him. That game-winning hit came on the Tyrone Taylor RBI single. So what is your feel? I know we talked about this off air. I know there's a lot of frustration. So I'm going to let you air, I guess, your grievances, how you're feeling right now after that series.
Well, what's upsetting me the most is that for majority of our lifetimes, and I think we're really similar in age, this organization has been a reactionary organization instead of a proactive organization.
Yes.
And when I see games result in that manner, and I know baseball tends to throw curveballs at you with decisions. Am I going to take this guy out? Are we going to do this? Are we going to sub this guy? And so on and so forth. But it just gets to a point where it's just like there's so many situations that I feel like this organization can prevent the big boo-boo, preventing the big boo-boo. And I have a phrase that I tell my brother all the time: pitching pays the bills. When you got Sean Manaea doing his thing like that, you can't lose that game. You cannot lose that game. You cannot, because this year, we already know if you get 5 innings from your starter, and what you've said, Anthony, on many occasions, we cannot be like last year having guys go just 3 innings, 4 innings. You get 5 2/3, you got to win that baseball game, man. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And I understand, we battled, but it's just not good enough. There's opportunities that we leave on the table. We don't finish our dinner. And the next situation, Adrian Hauser pitched a great game, but yeah, he gets yanked after 67 pitches without no trouble. He could have continued to probably another inning or 2. Maybe if another batter gets in scoring position, all right, I understand at that point, cool. But right there, you burn the bullpen. You get in a doubleheader. Thankfully, we split. Thankfully, but now we're on the road today. It's just like so many things that I feel like we could prevent. But then again, you sit there and you say, we got a rookie manager, a president of baseball operations. Yes, he's been in Milwaukee for God knows how long, but he's in New York now. So this is a big step for him. He's probably still filling things out. All the other guys are still kind of getting a few, but the problem is that there's guys that are playing the game of baseball for the Mets that have been with us for some time. They know what to expect. And they're not, Adrian Hauser and Sean Manaea giving you the performances they give. Incredible. Got to win those games. Cool. We got the split. Fine. My other problem is, I'm not trying to take a dig at Tyler McGill. I'm not. This is not a Tyler McGill bash at all. But the time that Tyler McGill pitched, that was supposed to be Jose Buto's turn in the rotation. We all agreed. Me and you have said it in a private chats. It's nothing against McGill, but Buto outpitched him. Buto earned that spot to be in the rotation, to start the year with the organization. And he didn't, and we had to wait for an injury, unfortunately. And then a doubleheader came where he was the 27th man, and that's what allowed him to pitch. And it's just like, he gives you a great performance. For his, for Jose Buto, it's a really good performance. Not putting him on a pedestal, but for him, 5 innings, very good baseball. He didn't give up 8 runs, 5 runs. He did what he had to do. But that could have been him for the game that McGill pitched, that McGill couldn't get out of trouble. And, maybe you could ease McGill into a lesser stressor role, get more out of him, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, hindsight is always 20/20, but I just feel like these baseball decisions, I feel like they're right in front of the team, and they have a plan, and they literally just kind of like sometimes just throw the papers in the air and, we'll go with this now. And it's very frustrating. Now, the last thing before I don't want to ramble on. There's been a different lineup every single day of this season for this organization. We have to get to a point where at max, there's 2 lineups where we can expect lineup A and lineup B. Maybe a third lineup in case of an injury or whatnot. But every single day, we're getting a different lineup. We got a different lineup today. We'll get into that later. But this is really, really, really a problem with this team. I know that, certain guys.
For a long time.
Yeah. It's so many guys are, ingrained into doing certain roles in certain spots in the lineup. And they can't get into rhythm when they're already not in rhythm by just constantly moving up and down the lineup. And I don't know. I mean, I know this is a new world of baseball. I get it. And I'm very open to this new world of baseball. I'm very numbers driven myself. But we got to start the ball rolling. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't want to get left in the pack. And then it's going to be a worse year than it was last year. And, not to be too negative, but there was some positive. I will say that our catcher has given me some little bit of hope. Mm-hmm. For the most part, you could sit here and say there has been some solid pitching performances, better than I have expected personally. Tyrone Taylor has been a nice diamond. I have said on my show, I've said on other people's show, he will be a fan favorite. He's not going to be a world beater, but he'll have those moments. He had a moment yesterday. And Pete, I mean, for anybody who's continuously doubting this, awesome player that has come from this organization, he's just continuously doing his thing. He's hitting the ball all over the field this year. He is a clutch home run. His haters really can't say much now. So shout out to Pete Alonso. He definitely deserved that. And he's moving up and down the lineup too, and he's still hitting. So people need to follow suit with Pete Alonso. And that includes the other big names too. But that's my rant. It's out.
Well, I wanted you to get that out, let that out of your system. Like you said with Pete, Pete's not perfect. We all know that. But everything we've seen from Pete in this organization is that he's going to go down, especially if he stays here, as maybe the best hitter in Mets history. And we're talking about David Wright. We're talking about Darryl Strawberry. We're talking about Mike Piazza. He has a chance to go down as one of the best, definitely the best power hitter in the Mets history, but definitely one of the best Mets hitters. And, I know that people get on him, but for people to say that he's not clutch, I mean, they definitely did not watch a lot of games last season or the season before that. I mean,
that game in Cleveland, game against Cleveland, the game against Tampa Bay,
St. Louis.
I mean, I remember 2 years ago in Yankee Stadium against the lefty they used to have. the guy does his thing, man. I mean, it's usually a lot of hate towards the guy. It's unfair. He's our goof. We get it. But he's our goof. I'm cool with him staying. I don't even care anymore about the money with him, honestly. I hope he stays. I think it'll be a real black cloud if he leaves, personally, because, I don't think that a lot of fans are going to be very, very open to the idea of like whatever. You never heard the term like when someone great leaves, that it's always the guy who replaces them gets the shit end of the stick, and you got to wait for the other one after him. Like in any, facet of life, any sport, that happens a lot. So whoever's playing first base after Pete Alonso, those shoes are going to be gigantic to fill. So I hope it's not going to happen for a while. I know we got prospects, and that's a whole nother topic, but I hope Pete stays. He's on pace. I did the math, he's on pace to go between 500 and 600 home runs. I mean, the Mets will never. I don't think they'll ever be able to say that for any other player. So it's probably best for they keep him around.
Patty says, Pete and Alvy, that's my team right now. That's basically been the entire offense the whole entire season. Yeah. Odd Villain saying Pete can't be batting second. Let's stop that. I agree. Honestly, I agree. I don't want him batting second. Lindor, I don't actually mind leading off because he's done it in Cleveland very successfully. So I don't really mind that. And to me, Nimmo's not a prototypical leadoff guy. Walks are great, but man, you better be stealing some bases. And he doesn't do that. And he's too afraid to do that and get hurt. And I, put him down in the order where now he's going to be this power guy. Yeah. Carlos Ortiz saying once JD comes up, I think the lineup will settle and be consistent. And that's why I'm trying not to, get too upset or get too angry. I mean, we were huddling in conversation about how awful the offense was the first week. And then I got to talk to myself, remember that we still have to see what this looks like with JD Martinez in the lineup. So I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. It just was very ugly. I mean, I showed everyone in here, I showed you all the stats. I mean, they're bottom of the league, behind Miami, behind Oakland. And that's unacceptable when you have players like Lindor, when you have Pete, when you have Nimmo, Alvy in here, McNeil, who has done absolutely nothing, Starling Marte. These are supposed to be good players, and it's not that they don't care. I know that they care and all that stuff. It's just that they're underperforming, I think is the best way we can say it. They're underperforming right now. But I have hopes that, like Carlos Ortiz says, when JD comes up, that this lineup will get a little more consistent. I want to go back to what you were talking about with the pitching, because the whole thing with Tyler McGill, he's on borrowed time.
Yes, he is.
He is on borrowed time, especially after this Jose Butto start. Now I'm trying to compare the mindsets for both of these guys. We saw Butto yesterday struggling through the first 2 innings, gives up just 1 run, battles, rest of the way cruises. You compare that to a Tyler McGill start, and he's giving up 3 runs. He's walking the ballpark, and it's a consistent struggle with him. So I think eventually he might find his way into the bullpen as one of those long guys, especially now that one of our long guys is now gone, which we'll get into in a little bit. But yeah.
But again, remember, we're not proactive, we're reactive.
That's the problem. And, the whole thing, Patty says it, that Hauser move made no sense. It didn't.
67 pitches. What are we doing? Like, it doesn't make any. He's been a starter his whole career. Like, what are they so afraid of?
That's my biggest pet peeve with this whole analytics shift is you're taking these pitchers out. I understand the logic. Yes, maybe he can't go, past 2 times in the order, but can we see?
Yeah.
Can we try?
Give it a shot. Yeah.
I mean,
I'd rather lose. I'd rather lose that way. Like, if we try and it burns us, okay, now we know better. We won't do it the next time, but we don't even get that far,
The guy had 16 pitches through the first 2 innings. He was striking out batters, and he gets into a little trouble, and they yank him. Like that. That has to mess up his mindset as well.
It was very little trouble. I thought, honestly, he looked. I'm gonna be real with you. He looked like he could pitch another 2 more innings. He didn't look, and he looked like, you know what? I'm gonna get the ground ball. He seems like a guy that how can I put this into words? He seems like a guy. There's certain pitchers. I'm not comparing him to the ground people. I'm not. But when the ground was on the mound, The coolest thing about DeGrom was that, all right, he'll give up a double, right? It didn't matter if there was a guy standing behind him. DeGrom didn't care because DeGrom believed in whatever he was good at. Cool, DeGrom will get the guy out, blah, blah, blah. The one thing I saw with Hauser that I do like is that he knows he's a ground ball pitcher. So he looks like he really does believe in his craft so much that a guy on first, a guy on second, doesn't matter. I'm going to get the ground ball. I'm not going to give up the long ball. I'm going to try my best. If I give it up, it happens. But he seems like a guy that doesn't get really, really rattled. It's only one start, but I got real confident with him. I was like, wow, I didn't have that much faith in him when we signed him. But I was like, yo, he's not that bad. He's actually he's reliable, you know, and
we
I like
talked about this. We talked about this with Tone. We talked
Mm-hmm.
about this with Amish Country. He reminds me of Rick Reed.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw in that start. And the fact that, you know, let him give up the one run. If he gives up the one run, fine. But, like, don't yank him as soon as he gets into trouble. This is also not a game where, like, okay, this is the final game of the series. No, you had another game to play after that, and you can't prepare. They use 7 more pitchers. And in between both games, well, Jose Buto, he's going to have to go innings. Well, no shit, he's going to have to go more innings because you wasted Adrian Hauser.
Here's the thing that confuses me. Adrian Hauser should have not been pulled. You then use almost the whole bullpen. You then leave game 2 for Buto and a guy you just called up and Reed Garrett. That's not fair to those guys. No. That is like throwing like
3 pitchers they had for game 2. 3.
Bro, what? To me personally, there's certain games that I truly think in my crazy mind, this organization sometimes says, and others do this shit too. They be like, you know, like whatever happens, happens. We wanted to win game 1 because they managed game 1 like it was game 7 of the World Series. And they were like, oh, we split. It is what it is. Whatever happens, happens. And I'm just like, bro, what world? Like, I get we're only in like game 6 or 5, whatever, but we need these wins. We're not where we look bad. We need to prepare better. I put out a tweet, and I'll shut up after this. After almost like every other game, I'm like, were we unprepared or were we unlucky? And every game, it feels like we're not prepared. It doesn't feel that way. And I hate to shit on Mendy. He's new, but come on, bro. Let's come on. You got to instill some faith. We cannot keep losing series just out the gate. I mean, the fans already have had enough, you know?
Yeah. And I've never been anywhere near Major League Baseball field or coached or anything like that. But doesn't common sense tell you that, you know, if you're going to make a pitcher keep pitch like in a doubleheader, shouldn't it be game 1 and save your bullpen for game 2? Like it's not even the fact that he was getting lit up and let's just leave him out there. 67 pitches of shutout ball through 6 or 5 innings. Like, and the big thing that bothers me is something that has been happening throughout his tenure here, and that's Teflon Jeremy Hefner. Can the guy come out and check on these guys once like a guy comes on base? He doesn't do it. I've
been wondering why he doesn't do that. I've tried my best to kind of do like the deep psychology thing that I try to do, and I think this year more than other years, I'm gonna be keeping an eye on that, because if you think about it, in other years we had really established guys, you know, Scherzer, Verlander, DeGrom, so on and so forth. Like those names, I get it. You know what? You sit there and you be like, you know what? This fucking guy can shoot. Sorry, but this guy can really get out of a jam. I don't really need to hover and baby him, especially a guy like Scherzer and stuff like that who has a lot of respect. But this year, specifically this year, go out there. Use the mound visit, please. I beg.
How many do we have? 3?
Yeah,
right? We have 3 mound visits a game. The first 2 games, he used none.
I know. He used them. What? All right. Well, yeah. I don't want to kill these guys because I don't want to turn your show into like a WFAN. I really don't.
No, but like I think what we're doing is fair assessment.
Yes.
You know, this is not for clicks. This is what we see on a daily basis. We watch the grind of this team every day. Every move, intricate move, we're paying attention to. Yeah. It's not like we're gonna kill we're killing Jeremy Hefner for this. Like, these are legitimate questions. Why are you not going out to check on your starting pitcher and then yanking him after 67 pitches when you have another game with a guy that just came up for 2 guys that just came up from the minor leagues and Johan Ramirez, who was suspended for 2 games? Like,
you would think at that point, let me go talk to him. You know, he got into a little jam. Let me ask him, yo, we need you to go a little longer. We got another game coming up. Maybe you calm him down, ease him into a little bit of a groove. I mean, I feel like this is something that like is like standard assessment level baseball 101 sort of things, and we just avoid this shit at all costs. And it's just like, but these little intricate things that I just don't get, it feels like we're above it. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
It feels like we're like, that's like not us. Like we are this way. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, bro, like, who are you fooling? This is a very simple game, this sport. You know, I don't know.
It's like mentally they're still in spring training. I mean, down 1-0, Marte not going to try to steal a base late in the game. Come on, guys.
Oh, I mean, to be fair, though, to counteract your point, to counteract and agree with you at the same point, we possibly could be still in spring training because there was a decision in one of those games that caused a very big talking point, and that was the Brett Beatty bunt. Because we did see him bunt in spring training. We did, and people lost it then. And that was a game that did not matter. This is a game that did matter. And old school, I mean super old school, and Anthony, you know this, super old school by the book would tell you that in that spot, he technically is supposed to bunt. But me, you, and all of our people in the chat and all of the Met fans know Beatty swinging a hot bat. Déjalo. Leave him. He never really bunts like that. This is not a Brett Beatty thing. Maybe a Bader or maybe a guy like Wendu. I don't know. But if the young kid that we've been praying can show us something, kind of has been, let him swing the bat. Let him swing the bat.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. You know, Beatty was having himself a day, both games, defensively, offensively, he's been okay.
His glove the other day. Saved
the game.
Yes, he saved 2 runs in extra innings. That DSR new analytic whatever stat, I want to look at it because I know for a fact he saved 2 runs. That was incredible play by Brett Beatty.
Yep. And the problem is he's not. These guys don't practice bunting anymore.
No.
If you're not going to practice bunting, you might as well just get rid of it and stop doing it.
Yeah.
If you're not going to do these drills, I don't know why they don't do it anymore, especially in the 10th inning with a gifted runner on second base. You should be practicing that all the time. And, you know, he popped up those 2 times, then he struck out. But, yeah, some of the decision-making early on has not been great. And it is very frustrating. Duran Rivera says, and this I agree with, if Mendoza can have the type of year Randolph had in 2005, I'll take it. And he started off 0-5. They won the final game of their series and kind of played a lot better. Definitely, they had a winning record in 2005, and then 2006 they took off. I totally agree with that. Hopefully, Duran, he can be just like that. Yuki Matsui in the chat. Hi, Keef. Hi, Ant. To all 50 people, which is now 83 people watching, please click on the like button.
Retweet that, man. Come on, y'all. Retweet the like button, all that.
Share all of that. Make sure you're following both channels. The Shea family, the Shea bloodline.
The Shea bloodline. I like that.
the Shea bloodline, especially with WrestleMania this weekend.
Can't wait. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Your brother actually messaged something. What did I think was going to be before we go on this tangent of more baseball? He asked how I thought the 2 title matches were going to end up. I said Cody was going to win.
Okay.
I think Cody's going to win. And then I said, you know what? I think that Rollins was going to win because I don't think they're going to give the title to Drew. But then I totally forgot that this guy's got Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to cash in Money in the Bank.
Something's going to happen. I really think we're in store for a movie this whole weekend. It's going to be so much fun. But you know what? I wouldn't be surprised because the WWE knows how to mess with you. I would not be surprised if Roman Reigns walks out of that arena with that belt. It wouldn't shock me in the slightest. But Cody definitely deserves his time. Cody deserves it.
Yeah, for sure. Odd Villain says McGill is the new Dylan G. Actually,
God.
I think Dylan G was better.
Yeah.
I think he's better.
McGill. Honestly, McGill, man. I don't really recall a pitcher that has frustrated me more than McGill because not only does McGill start opening days for the Mets, he has a nickname. You don't get a nickname that you make on your own. Like calling yourself Big Drip is crazy, Anthony. Like, come on, Anthony. We're from New York. You know, I know you're in Jersey, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like, you're not gonna make yourself a own nickname, Big Drip. Like, I don't know, man. Of course, I'm a little harsh on that, but you know, the guy, you know, he got to figure it out. I think he's a lot like his brother. He's a reliever.
Ibby says, desperate to get off the chopping block. Same thing with the Beatty bunt, reeked of desperation. Yeah, it definitely did.
Good point. That's a very good point.
Maureen, rookie manager, rookie mistakes.
Very
absolutely.
True. Very true.
We got Jingle Man in the house. He's watching on Twitter. What's up, man? He had a song for Earthquake. I had to retweet it because it was perfect. If you haven't seen that, please check it out. The Earthquake song was perfect. Appreciate him. Always him and Jordan, who I also got to see at Citi Field this weekend.
So did SNY. They had him all over.
Yeah.
Poor guy. Had him when we were just not making a good attempt at winning a baseball game. Good Lord.
Yeah, talk about comparing us to WFA and Keef Licata. I don't know if we're going that route.
Jesus Christ. I honestly, you know what? At this point, it's pushing me that way. I don't want to ever be like that, but good Lord. It's not me, it's the Mets, but good Lord.
Junior Swingman, where is that? There we go. Beatty tendency is to ground out to first base and second base anyway.
He has to work on that.
Yeah, definitely has to work on that. You like to see the pull in his swing. I mean, he's got a little more pop when he's pulling the ball. Carson has mentioned it in our chat so many times.
Can I point out something about Brett Beatty real quick? Just stats aside. If you just remember, I know last year was like a blur, but this year I see a little bit more of a fire. You know, like just celebrating or just like rooting for them, even on losses. He's at the top of the dugout. He looks a lot comfortable. I know he's not Scott Rowland, you know, I know he's nothing like that, but I just think that I see a little bit of a change in him personally.
And also that's what we want to see, right? Like we've talked about there's something missing, a fire that's missing from this team that it's very go to work, professional atmosphere. And I don't know if you saw Hector in Washington Heights posted a video of Alvy on the top step by himself.
Yeah,
cheering.
I saw
and
that.
You know, he, to me, Francisco Alvarez is that leader of the future. If he stays healthy, you know, knock on wood, he stays healthy, praying, all that.
He's the franchise, man.
Yeah,
he really is. Honestly, at this point, we see it. And whenever they get their kids and whatever they do in the future, it has to be centered around him and if the first baseman stays. But we know Alvy's staying. Alvy is the true cornerstone of the organization. He was the number one prospect in baseball for a reason, and he's ours. So whatever it is, make sure that the kid, you know, how about we give him, you know, really, really good support, you know, as fans, you know, because I know the other guys aren't hitting, but when that guy gets up to the plate, cheer your ass off, you know.
Empire Sports Media, since we talked about wrestling, I'm not paying good money to see Roman Reigns retain.
Shout out Empire. Yo, Empire. I'm just saying, man, WWE will mess with you, bro. Talk to Hunter, man. Talk to Hunter.
Odd villain. Meanwhile, Tylor has no drip.
I like that. I agree with that. I'm sorry. I personally don't see the drip.
Before we get into the series preview against the Reds, Lane Kerner is asking, can the Mets sweep the Reds? I think they can, right? They should have swept Detroit. We just talked about it. But, like, is Mendy going to get in his own head? Or is the offense actually going to participate this series? And they should, because that's a hitter's ballpark. So there should be no excuses for this team to, you know, score some runs. And let's get into the series preview and the pitching probables that I have up here. And
Quintana, Hunter Green.
There we go.
Yeah.
Jose Quintana versus Hunter Green. We got Severino versus Nick Martinez and Sean Manaea versus Andrew Abbott. Which of these three pitching matchups are you looking forward to the most?
So I'm actually looking forward to going up against Nick Martinez personally, only because Abbott is a really good lefty, and I know how we are against lefties. And it's funny, it's a dual lefty matchup, which is really interesting. You really don't get those. Rarely you get those nowadays. And Hunter Green, we've actually beaten Hunter Green in the past. I'm actually like not as intimidated as him as other teams in the past would. The problem with Hunter Green, though, right now with this team is that it seems like every pitcher that comes up with really, really strong velocity, the Mets are not really doing much with. And if you can get Hunter Green's pitch count up by the 4th inning, you can get him out of the game, and then you can attack the bullpen. That's my way of going about it. Hopefully, the Mets can assess that in the proper manner, and everybody kind of has the same game plan in this first game of the series. Because Hunter Green doesn't have a long leash. The problem with Hunter Green, he tires out really quick. That fastball only lasts like really 4 innings. If he's grooving, it's a different story, though. But Quintana has a good, Quintana's pretty good in that park for a hitter's ballpark. I actually am afraid of this ballpark. I think you remember a whole bunch of games, even like in 2021, it was like 15-13. Like, this park has not been very kind to the Mets personally.
No.
And I love this offense that the Reds have. This is an offense that I really do enjoy. They're actually slumping right now, and I'm afraid that we can wake them up. So Quintana has actually a good history against this organization, being that he was with the Pirates. I just worry about the Sevy game because I saw how Sevy was pitching against the Brewers, and his location was really off. The command was not there. And this lineup, if there's any time for this lineup to wake up, it's against a pitcher who's not commanding his pitch as well. Manaea, I think Manaea might suffer from a team that suffer that game from a team that may not be able to score against Abbott. So I'm worried about that. They got to beat Hunter Green. If they beat Hunter Green, then I really do think they can beat the Nick Martinez is a converted reliever. Nick Martinez is not going to go long in this game. So I feel if you can get to Hunter Green, the best part about winning this first game against Hunter Green is that when you head into the Severino game, you can probably start with the guys kind of like in a little bit of a groove. You know, oh, shit, we won the first game of the series. Maybe that gives a little bit of a confidence boost. The lineup, however the lineup is today, because I know it's crazy. Maybe you stick with it for another game because it's another righty, and you get to this guy early, Martinez. You burn the bullpen again 2 days in a row. I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but if you could burn the bullpen these first 2 games, because there's a reliever pitching to start the game 2, then Andrew Abbott has to go long. You know, and if that's how I would look at it with no analytics in front of me. Kill Hunter Green early, get him out the game by the 4th inning, burn the bullpen for about 5. Nick Martinez, we can hit Martinez. I'm not too intimidated by him, but that'll be a bullpen game. And then you leave the Mets against a lefty, but by that point, 2 out of 3 is already taken, and we'd be okay. So that's how I would go about it. But they got to win tonight. If they don't win tonight, I would be very, very, very worried personally.
Yeah, and if you're going to try to watch this game tonight, it's on Apple Plus or Apple TV Plus, whatever you want to call it. I'll probably be listening to it on the radio because I don't have that. But
I'll give you a link. Don't worry. A secret link. Well, I can't say publicly. You
know, Hunter Green reminds me of what we dealt with Jacob deGrom, and like in the past when I'm not comparing the two, but Hunter Green is a strikeout pitcher.
Yep.
And what happens with those guys? They tend to throw a lot of pitches early, and they are done within 4 or 5 innings. The Mets have to work some counts here and get this guy out early, because if not, and he gets into the groove, I mean, this guy could have probably 12, 13, 14 strikeouts against you. And with the way this offense has been hitting, that's been the big problem. I mean, you look at Lindor, 042, 221 OPS. Alonso and Alvarez are the only ones, 292, 400. Beatty's hitting 222, Marte 227, 214 for Tyrone Taylor. McNeil, 067, Bader 200. DJ Stewart doesn't even have a hit. Why even DH DJ Stewart at this point? Why not let Nimmo play?
DHing him. Well, the funny thing is that Nimmo DH'd yesterday in the second game, leading off, and then today he gets a day off. I'm worried if something's wrong with him. I don't know, because that's a little odd.
That base. He gets hurt every time he steals a base, man.
I don't know. It's kind of weird for your left fielder to lead off a game as a DH and then not see him the next day at all. I hope he didn't pull anything. I hope maybe no weird oblique mysterious injuries on. But yeah, DJ Stewart is your DH in the 9th hole. My God, I hope JD Martinez gets here next week, because Lord, this is a little worrying. The lineup today, I guess we'll get into it, but it's a bit worrying from 4 through 9. because the Mets, we all know what the Mets are. They're a top-heavy lineup, and if those top guys are not producing runs, it's a very scrappy, old-school game, and we need good pitching. And the one thing about the Reds that I will say is that the Reds are slumping right now. They have not gotten out of the gates, but when they do, this is a very potent lineup. This team can hit with the best of them in that park. That park is a hitter's ballpark, which is why this series doesn't scare me as much, because I hope and pray, the optimism in me is that you get into a groove in this series. You get 2 out of 3. You hit the ball pretty well this series, and you take that momentum to our friends in Atlanta. I would hope that would be the case. An optimism would feel that way. A little bit of a realist would say not so much, but I'm kind of finding somewhere in between. That's where I'm landing,
Look, there's no doubt that they have to take 2 out of 3 here.
Absolutely.
Going into Atlanta, there's no excuse. They have to win 2 out of 3. It helps that they win tonight and kind of alleviate. If they don't, there's going to be a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety going into those final 2 games. Lane Kerner, because you mentioned JD Martinez, asked, can they call him up? It's not happening this series. I don't even know if it's happening next series. He needs some time to get some at bats down there. If the Mets lose this series and have a bad series, we will see him in Atlanta. If they win this series, even if they sweep at some point, maybe, fingers crossed, I think they hold him off until the homestand in that Kansas City series. I think that would be the best case scenario.
I actually think too that was the actual timetable of the 20-day retroactive 15-day or whatever thing with the farm situation, and I think it actually lands on that first game against Kansas City. So it would be very Met for us to not have him against the Braves, and then he comes against the Royals. It feels that that's the route we're gonna go down personally. But also too, JD Martinez is one of those guys that says, "Hey, I'm ready when I'm ready." So I'd rather him tell me than the Mets tell me personally.
Ibby says Hunter Green can strike out 10, but he gives up a lot of home runs. The offense needs to be aggressive tonight. And let's look at the lineup. Francisco Lindor leading off, only the 5th time as a Met that he's done this. But, we've seen him in Cleveland do it.
Sorry, I didn't even know I didn't even know he even did it 4 other times.
Yeah, he did.
I didn't even know that.
Yep.
Wow.
He'll be leading off. We got Pete Alonso batting 2nd. Alvy's batting 3rd. Brett Beatty batting 4th. Starling Marte 5th, Tyrone Taylor 6th, McNeil 7, Bader 8, DJ Stewart 9.
I got one for you. Beatty, Alonso, Alvy, home runs all 3 tonight.
I'd love to see it.
Those 3 guys.
Back to back.
I'm going Beatty, Alvy, Alonso, 3 different times throughout the game. Those 3 guys will go yard. That's my prediction tonight. And apparently I've been on fire because I predicted a few things that I don't want to say on here, but I predicted, a pitcher that we moved on from today was going to get the axe. And I actually was just joking, and it actually happened. I also predicted the walk-off. So maybe today, my last prediction, if I'm going to keep the hot streak going, is Alonso, Alvy, Beatty, they all go yard tonight.
Well, everyone in the chat is saying that Nimmo is hurt right now. Tight hamstring. For Brandon Nimmo, day to day.
It might be the stolen base, like you said.
I mean, come on. What
else could it be, right? Anthony, watch the stolen base again if you can. If a good throw is there, he's out. And I don't understand how he doesn't he's fast. He's not slow.
He's so worried about getting hurt. And now that's in his head now. Now he's not going to steal a base again. And that's why, to me, they at some point they need to get an actual leadoff hitter on here. Let him move down the order, since now he's hitting for power.
Yeah,
and figure that out, because you need someone up there that obviously can get on base, but that can steal some bases, create a little bit of havoc at the top of the lineup. And the Mets aren't getting that with him up there. You have for Cincinnati tonight. Jonathan India will be leading off. I think his name is Spencer Steer.
Yes,
if I'm
correct.
He's second. Encarnacion Strand at first.
Good.
He's batting 3rd. Candelario who was one of the guys that I liked and was hoping the Mets would pick up at some point.
His numbers against Quintana are very good, guys. Keep Candelario on your eyes. Candelario is the one guy in the lineup be afraid of against Quintana.
They got Fairchild in center field. He will be batting 5th. Ellie De La Cruz, he will be batting 6th in the lineup, and I'd like to see a little bit more of him. Espinal will be batting Benson, and then I don't know if it's Miley or Maley be batting 9th. Which are these guys this series are you keeping a close eye on?
I would personally, everyone will kind of link to the Ellie De La Cruz name.
Yeah.
But he's slumping right now. He's having a real tough time with his play discipline. I think the world of him, but he definitely has to work on his play discipline. My biggest fear is 2 guys. Encarnacion Strand and Jamer Candelario, because Candelario has great numbers against the Mets. I remember him with the Nationals. He always gave us fits. He was always a headache. And he has great numbers against Quintana, so I worry about that. And Encarnacion Strand is their big bopper. And you hear me Tuesday. Tomorrow, Saturday, if Severino is pitching the way he pitched against Milwaukee, Encarnacion Strand is going to have a field day. I really am worried. That command, I was at the game, so I couldn't see the location because I was sitting behind home plate. I watched the highlights over, and it felt like everything was down the middle, man. And he cannot pitch like that in that ballpark. That ballpark, it could be a pop fly. That ball is going in that specific park. So, I
already told you during that game, I was like, I have a bad feeling. He pitched so well during spring that something was coming for him. And I don't know if I have a great feeling about this one either.
And we're lucky that a lot of people don't know is I love the Reds organization because I love how they produce players. They have 2 of their better players hurt. TJ Friel, who gave us hell last year when we played them in Cincy, and Matt McClain, who's a very great player. He's actually Ellie De La Cruz's best friend. And those 2 guys are huge parts of this Reds organization, so much that they almost traded India because of Matt McClain and TJ Friel. So also, Jonathan India goes off against us too. I feel like every time I see him, he goes off against us. So, yeah.
Always.
The Cincinnati system, whatever they do to develop hitting, I would love to copy that because they just know how to develop hitters. They really do.
Cincinnati's system, I like a little bit what I see from Pittsburgh as well.
Oh, yeah.
It sucks that
pitching in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it sucks that we can't see these teams more often, climb the rankings. You always have St. Louis there and the Cubs and Milwaukee, but man, some of the players that are produced out of those organizations are, stunning. Like I had shares last season in Hunter Green and Andrew Abbott in my rotation, helped me get to a championship.
Oh, nice.
They had their on and off times, but they were pretty solid for most of the season. Yeah, it's interesting to see what is going to happen in that first game as we go to game 2. Like you mentioned, Severino versus Nick Martinez. It's Miley as the only one that's been giving trouble to Severino in that lineup. He's got over 10 at bats, 300 batting average. So that's someone to keep an eye on when Sevy is on the mound. And
if Sevy can win that game, we win tonight, and Sevy wins that game, that's a huge boost because there's such a bad taste for fans outside of us with that first game that Sevy delivered for the Mets at home. That I think it's just he seems like a confidence guy. You know what I'm saying? And I think if he could get it together, just give me 4 innings. And we'll ride out the 5th, however we figure out the 5th. Give me 4 innings. Maybe he gets some lucky, BABIP. The ball just finds the glove, Another thing, too, Anthony, is we haven't played great defense.
No.
We have not played great defense. And that was kind of the big talking point from David Stearns throughout this whole winter is that he really wanted to play a much better brand of defense. And there's been a little bit of a circus. Zach Shore had a blunder. Joey Wendell had a blunder. Even Lindor hasn't been too sharp. Thankfully Alvy's been okay. But even in the outfield, Bader dropped the ball I thought he could have grabbed. So, I don't know. These guys are due for some good baseball. They're due, and I think if they win tonight, they're gonna win the series. Yeah, I might be crazy, and mind you, and I'm being honest, I hate them so much right now. I don't even want to look their way. But if they win tonight, I think they could win the series.
Yeah, the last, I want to say 5 or 6 years, it's really hard to like the team overall. There's always some issue with them. The bullpen stinks, the rotation stinks, the offense is not. Every year, it's one of those three things goes on. They can never actually put it together. And the year that they did, they got overconfident and then got smacked around by Atlanta and San Diego, and they haven't been the same since to me.
Yeah.
But
they're like a Rubik's Cube to me.
Yeah.
I always think of a Rubik's Cube with the Mets. You never get it right. You know what I'm saying? You're almost there, but then when you think you're almost there, you turn one way and it just becomes even more crazier.
Duran Rivera says, is Taylor playing tonight because he's a good fastball hitter? He is, especially with Nimmo out. Look forward to
him. He deserves
playing.
it. He deserves
he's going to be playing more. He does hit. He only has 3 at-bats, but he hit pretty well against Martinez, so I expect him to fully be in that lineup as well. The battle of the lefties with Manaya and Abbott. Trying to look through here and see if there's any standouts. It doesn't seem there's too many at-bats for some of these players against Abbott. The same thing for Manaya, especially since he's mostly pitched out of the American League, so you're not going to get that too much. Candelario is the only one home run, 2 RBIs, and 13 at-bats against Sean Manaya. So, like you mentioned, keep an eye on Candelario.
This guy, bro, like not even, Jesus Christ, you barely saw him. And the only time he sees him home run. All right, thanks. Yeah. Encarnacion Strand and they got Candelario for pennies, bro. For pennies.
Third base, right? Third base.
Yeah, third base.
And like when I saw him on the Cubs, was it last year he was on the Cubs that he got traded?
Yeah, from the Nationals to the Cubs. I think I could be wrong. But I think that was what
I was like, man, this might be a good low key move for the Mets, considering that we didn't know what they were going to do at third base at the time.
Yeah.
And
can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I've been thinking about this. I haven't said this even to my brother. Usually I softball everything to my brother, just because we talk too much about this team. I'll softball this one to you. Do you think, now I'm talking about game 1, starting from right off the rip, do you think if Ronnie Mauricio is fully healthy, do you think this season starts the same way? I don't.
Oh, no. I do think he starts at third.
I do too.
I think he does. I think he wins the third base job. And I don't think he just has a spark about him.
I agree.
That is similar to Alvi. When all the kids are together in the lineup, it seems that they feed off each other.
Yes, they do.
And that includes Brett Beatty. Brett Beatty needs Alvi.
Yeah, that's his best friend.
Yeah.
I think they probably get 2 wins minimum. Personally, I think they win the one of the extra inning games against Detroit. It felt like, because I felt like every game went into extra innings, but I don't know. I just feel like I wanted him a second, but I know the president was forcing him to be the third baseman, so he was going to win a job regardless, because he's just a better player than Brett Beatty and Vientos and whatnot. But I don't think McNeil, that whole thing at McNeil at second base, I don't think it goes the same way with Ronnie. Ronnie looked like the type that he don't take that garbage personally, and I think he would have. He's a young kid, so he probably would have been a little bit overheated. It would have been a little bit more of a fire, I think, personally, because it just felt like they took it and that was it, So
we talked about this when you and Keef came on the show about, everyone's talking about Ronnie at third, and I was like, I kind of like what I saw Ronnie at second. With Lindor. I thought that the two of them together were a nice compliment to each other.
We really were robbed, man.
We were. Absolutely. Odd Villain says he's our Ellie De La Cruz. So I can see that. I mean, I was there. I think I was there for his first home run of the season.
I was there for his first hit, where he hit like the hardest ball. I didn't see the first home run.
The home run with actually Tank Sports was Top Bunk Sports was with me.
Okay.
At that game. The guy, he had an absolute moonshot, like into the Coca-Cola or Coca-Cola porch or whatever they call it now. I mean, he's got crazy power for a guy that's so thin, like he is, like that strawberry type power with that body frame.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and he doesn't. It was a small sample size, but he looks like one. It seems like with this lineup. Real quick, not to go on a tangent, it seems like everybody's doing different things in their at-bats. And I felt like there's been one at-bat, one, maybe 2, because the Pete home run was a very good at-bat, by the way, because he was down in the count.
And he reached for that.
And I don't know how
that's some Manny Ramirez type crap.
Yeah, I don't even know how that went out. So that's a hell of an at-bat, by the way. The other at bat was that Tyrone Taylor, like 15 pitch. He struck out, but it was like 15 pitches, foul, 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 foul. I feel like those are the two at bats that I felt that, like, wow, they're working it. And I felt like, I feel like a lot of times there's guys with bases loaded. They're swinging in the first two pitches. They're not even
swinging at 3-0.
3-0. Like, yo, the pitcher's in trouble. Let him work him into more trouble. And we're just helping the pitcher by just swinging at just stupid counts and bad pitches. What I liked about Mauricio is Mauricio looked like he saw something he liked, like he did damage with it. It wasn't like he liked it and I'll get another one. No, he did damage with it. And I felt like, I don't know, I felt like Alvarez is the only one doing that right now, And I feel like I was watching Alvarez's at bat live, and I had MOB, the 3D, with the strike zone that you can see where the pitches are going. And Alvy's swinging at fastballs or sinkers or two seams. And I'm like, yo, he's just sitting on a fastball. He doesn't care where it's at. I'm going after a fastball. I don't care if I swing out of my hips. And I know that's crazy, and it's probably not like conducive long term. But I'm like, yo, at least I think I know what he's doing. I feel like I'm inside Alvarez's mind, and he was going up against a fastball pitcher. What did he do? Double, 2-run score. I'm like, I understand what he's trying to do. When I see McNeil at bats, I just think McNeil I'm going to just swing.
Yeah. And the thing that always also bothers me is when you have, let's say you just were able to get, maybe you worked a hit, you worked a walk. That kind of tells me, you know what? Maybe I need to change my approach for this at bat and not go after the first pitch.
Yeah.
But it's consistent. These guys go after the first pitch. Let this guy, like you said, let him work out of his own jams.
Mm-hmm.
And they just don't do that. And that's why I feel like they struggle so much. That one at bat, I mean, there's been multiple at bats that you got to pay close attention to with Alvy. But that one at bat where he hustled doubled.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he was working the count on that one.
Yeah.
And he wasn't doing that last year.
Another one. Yeah. And that's another. And I feel like with a lot with him specifically. And I'm a big critic with this team when this is going to sound crazy, Anthony, but this is how deep I go with this team. I want this team to start fouling off every swing. I don't want whiffs. I want foul balls. Mm-hmm. That sounds crazy. Yes, because I feel like they know what they're seeing when they're fouling the ball off. There's too many times I see them whiff. Lindor is whiffing at almost every swing. He is absolutely just all over the place. But when I see a guy like Tyrone Taylor up there, and I see a guy like Alvarez, at least I'm like, yo, they're on top of it. All right, you strike out. Sometimes you just got to tip your cap to the pitcher. It is what it is. It's 97 miles per hour, whatever. All right, you got it. But if I make you battle up there, that pitcher knows the next at bat, you know what? I can't keep throwing him fastball sinkers or two seams because he might get one on me. You know what I'm saying? And major league level hitting, they're like that. A batter will sit there and say, you know what? You got me the first two times, but you're in there for the third time. Now I know what to expect. And now the pitcher is playing defense. And that's something that I love about this game is because the batter, all the time, you're going to think they're playing offense. The pitcher, they're playing defense. And that cat and mouse is always moving. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like the Mets are way too, they're aggressive at the wrong moments.
They're aggressive, but they're not aggressive.
Yeah.
Right? How many pitches in game 1 and game 2 did Pete just look at down the plate?
And they're right there. Boop,
yeah.
Boop. And I'm like, bro.
The game planning must be so easy right now against them since they're not hitting.
That's why I think today, like you said, with Hunter Green, he's a fastball pitcher. We're in maybe the best hitting park in baseball, ladies and gentlemen, because you can hit the ball out anywhere, left, center, right. When you attack this strike zone the way the pitcher's attacking the strike zone, you're going to make him double take what he's throwing. Hunter Green don't got 3 pitches. He's working on his third pitch. He got a fastball and a slider. Now he's trying to incorporate a curveball. Listen, he'll hang that shit. And Pete Alonso, if he's sitting back, goodbye baseball. That's why I think if you give Hunter Green just the shit tonight, just be the 2022 Mets for one game, and be annoying. Be the most annoying team. Foul, pitch count. I want to see 45 pitches through 2 innings. That's what I want.
Yeah.
45 pitches through 2 innings, and I know the Mets are going to win the game.
Ibby says it pretty clearly. Get right ballpark.
Yeah.
Time to get right.
Park. Yes.
Yep.
The problem is they hit the ball too,
That is true, especially against our pitching. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But maybe another good point. Youth drives the good teams in this league. That's the energy that's missing from this team. Still on the older side. Once youth is injected, I think the Met fans of indifference changes. And you know what? That's a good point. You know, like it feels like I said, it feels like very professional, and that's how Lindor and Alonso carry themselves, and a lot of the other players. But then you got those kids in there. You got Alvy, hustle double. Hitting, moonshots and trying to work the count. Beatty's had a lot better at bats. I give him credit. He's not out of this world, but he's had a lot of better at bats that I've seen the last couple of games from, game 1 and game 2 of the season and from last year as well.
I'm telling you, Ant, you know why I feel that way personally is because he's playing better defense. Yeah. That confidence on the defensive side for this kid specifically, just him, is carrying over. He's not going to be Scott Rowland, but I know that there's a bigger ceiling than what a lot of fans are putting on this kid. But now those 2 plays he did yesterday, he don't do them last year after he dropped the pop-up. He don't. He will never make those plays because he's a confidence-driven baseball player. And he made very important. We don't win yesterday without Brett Beatty. Yeah. We don't win. There's no Pete Alonso home run. There's no Tyron Taylor walk-off without Brett Beatty.
My comparison, Alec Bohm.
My brother says it all the time. He is our Alec Bohm, and I think that's a perfect example.
Yep.
I just need him to say, I fucking hate it here. That's what I need him
to. Although I don't know if the fans will change as the Philly fans did. I think it'd be a lot worse for him.
Oh, my God. Could you imagine? Yeah. They get mad at this. Man. They get mad at this. Could you imagine if you catch lip reading? I fucking hate it here. Oh, my God.
129 people viewing this right now. Appreciate all of you. Please like the video, share it, subscribe to both Shea and Sons and Subway to Shea. We got Wardy in the building. Good friend.
What's up, homie?
As always.
Well, what's up,
Appreciate you, my friend, being in here. It's always good to see you. Everyone that's in the chat. Junior Swimman says, I think Keef knows ball. You think? He knows ball.
Very, very
Keef knows words. Ball.
Thank you.
Brooklyn Junie says, challenge the double play, be more aggressive. Absolutely.
Ooh, love that. That's a great comment. Real quick, shout out to John Boy. He took time out of his life to put together about a 5-minute video of the Mets not like
was
running.
It the McNeil thing?
Yeah, like not sliding in double plays a second, and then mysteriously the next day. The Mets are sliding into second base like demons.
The Lindor play, right?
Yes.
I don't know why he didn't slide.
I don't know, but I saw one. Listen, I'm McNeil's biggest hater right now. People on Twitter hate me because I'm calling McNeil lemon. And I'm sorry. But I will say this about Jeff McNeil. I know for a fact Jeff McNeil saw John Boy's video. And the very next day, which was against the Tigers, I saw him hammer into second base. So at least he knows not to just, you know what I'm saying? Get in there, get in.
Look, I'm probably one of the rare people that likes McNeil, but
I wouldn't say rare. He has a lot of fans.
Yeah, I won't. If you criticize him, I'm not like that. I'm not going to go after you or anything like that. But just like Tyler McGill, he is on borrowed time. There are shortstops that are converting to second. Jet Williams, we talked about Ronnie Mauricio, Acuna Jr. These guys are primed and getting ready to make the move. So I wouldn't be shocked at some point, and he'll definitely be the first one to go if they have to make some moves here. I'm pretty sure McNeil has one of those team kind of friendly contracts that you could move.
Yeah.
And I think that he is on borrowed time as well. There's just too much in the pipeline
I agree.
To have McNeil last that whole entire contract.
And I will say this. In the future, when they honor him, because they will, because he won a batting title with us, I will absolutely honor him too. I just hate him right now. I don't like him right now. I don't think he's a bad person. I actually think he's been a pretty decent man. He came through our ranks, and he's been here for quite a long time. But his time is up. At this point, we all know, no one here is a GM or president of baseball operations, but no one here is stupid. You know what I'm saying? We kind of get it. My more worry, though, is we need to get the shortstop hitting because this Anthony, this is not it. This shortstop cannot continue to do this. I love him. I love him. He's my favorite Met, but he's not excuse of a goddamn thing. He
No,
hasn't
that's
he
the thing
hasn't
too.
he hasn't played even good defense in my eyes personally. And I don't
No.
know. I know this leadership shit. He carries a lot on his chest, but Anthony, they leading him off tonight. I don't know. A lot of Met fans were fighting me that they wanted him to lead off, and that's cool. I thought the logic behind it was fine. I don't think it's absolutely out of this world, but if this is not a sign to, hey, we need to get the ball rolling, bro, like this is it. You know what I'm saying? Because Buck, shout out to Buck. One thing I'll give Buck Showalter, and I was the biggest critic too. Buck stood true with the same template. Buck didn't play around. I was like, these are my guys. They're gonna stay there. They'll figure it out. This brother's already batted third. He's batted second. Now he's batting first. So, brother, let's go. The ball's gonna roll because half of New York already don't like you. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, you gotta get it together. Get it together, bro.
And you know what? He's one of those players that has been banged up, mentally through what's happened over the last couple of years, through 2022 playoffs. You talk about the trade deadline and the comments he made after the trade deadline. You talk about the firing of Buck Showalter was like his closest, friend. And you go into this year and he struggled right out the gate. And everyone keeps saying, well, that he's a slow starter. Can we change that? Like, can you? It's 4 years now you've been on this team. Can you work on it or something?
And you know what? I like what you just said. The mental gymnastics with him, I feel like is out of this world because I just feel like with him, he does the professional button tie thing after every game. All right, cool. All right, that's the role you want to play. On the field, a field general, you go move here, blah 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 blah. Okay, cool. And at the plate, whether he strikes out, pops up, he runs to the next batter, tells him everything. All right, brother, please, for like 9 innings, just focus on your own shit. These other guys are professionals too. Like you don't need to put your armor on everybody. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's my thing with him. Calmate. Just play the game you love, bro. You know what? If you go 1 for 4 tonight and you get a double and an RBI and 3 strikeouts, it's an improvement. It's still not the improvement we want, but you're hitting the ball. You know what I'm saying? His mind is like all over the place, I feel. And I'm like, yo, bro, just play baseball, bro. We're not in the World Series. This is not Cleveland, Calmate.
Yeah. 0.42 batting average, 221 OPS
He's better
to
than
start
that.
the season.
He's so much
that's
better.
the frustrating thing. He is better than that.
Mm-hmm. A lot of these Mets are better than that. And personally, Anthony, I hate that I'm going to have to say this. Personally, the Mets right now are severely underperforming to the point where it gives me hope because I don't think it could get worse. I think it only could get worse when it's rivals because they just know us. But I think when we're going against the Pirates and the Kansas City Royals, what we just saw against Detroit and Milwaukee, that was rough, man. That was a rough. They put let's be real. A Philadelphia Philly beat us for 3 games. It wasn't a Milwaukee Brew. It was a Philly. And he beat us mentally. So, we can kind of start getting on track in Great American Ballpark tonight. They're away from New York. Less pressure. They don't have to hear Anthony Rivera and Keef go crazy on them. WFAN, that's very far away. They don't have, Mr. Fleming yelling at them. Go play baseball. Easy breezy, Get a win.
Every time I see him, they lose a game.
He's been a little bit more calmer than I thought, to be fair. I thought he'd be
for now.
For now.
For now.
It's early days.
Yeah. David Stearns has his hands all over the rotation right now and the bullpen. And that's what's been successful. There's only so much he can do to the lineup because a lot of these guys are already set right now. Lindor, Nimmo, Alvarez, Beatty, I guess Alonso, but we don't know if he wants to bring him back or not. But at some point, he will put his blueprint on that lineup, and we'll see if it becomes, something worthy every year.
Can I ask you a question? I want to pick your intelligent mind.
Sure.
Michael Tonkin, DFA today. That was a free agent acquisition that we made. That was a Stearns signing. I mean, we're not even a full 10 days into the season. A DFA already happened. I feel like I don't know his options. I don't know much about Michael Tompkins. I'm gonna be honest with you, but that's a little like for him to perform. He performed in the DFA level. Let's be honest. He deserved the DFA. It's not like I'm making a pass for him.
I don't know. I felt like he had the one bad game.
Mm-hmm.
The other game he was undone by Joey Wendell and the defense.
That's true. That's a good point. Actually,
I felt like a lot of people were like, send him off. He's gone. I felt like he got unfairly DFA'd for now. We didn't see enough. Like they brought him in extra innings both times. You saw him on opening day. He pitched 2-3 innings and was fine.
So that's where I want to go to real quick. You make the best point ever right now. I talked to this. I hope my buddy Josh is here. You just made the point that I've been looking for. He got DFA'd in a position where he failed. Yes, we lost games. Yes, he was terrible. But do we really want to see Michael Tompkins in high leverage situations? I don't think they signed him for that. He's never been that guy in his career. So why is one of the more known bullpen names that we signed being put in that position when we probably could have went other routes, and you kind of set him up to fail? I'm not making an excuse. He pitched like shit, and obviously he was undone by the Joey Wendell thing, but to DFA a guy, we're not even like, that's crazy, bro. That's a look on the organization, bro, that like, you know what's gonna happen now? Michael Tompkins gets picked up by the Braves, and then he dices us up for like 1 or 2 games next week. And that's the type of shit that this organization pisses me off.
Yeah,
you know?
and Tompkins was basically your long guy. He was supposed to be the Reed Garrett of the game, and then we had to use him twice in positions that he's probably not supposed to be in. So I thought he kind of got unfairly DFA'd, but the Mets had no choice because Tyler McGill got hurt, and then they had to sign Julio Teheran and bring him in. So like,
that's another thing, man. I don't want to keep talking, but
no, we were gonna get into it eventually.
Sorry,
as we wrap up the show.
Yeah,
but
they could have signed him in the winter time. Like all this stuff could have. Again, back to how we started, reactive and not proactive. This guy could have been in Syracuse, why not?
Yeah. But are the Mets was the Tompkins move a proactive move though? Like,
it was reactive.
He pitched. You think it was reactive?
He
pitched bad. He pitched bad, and like those 2 outings, and Stearns was like, "All right, I'm done with you." Like the Mets would have held on to him in years past and let that continue. Like, is that kind of a motivating factor, you think?
Well, fair, yes, and I do like that the string is not as long, or the rope is not as long. I guess the phrase is that is a good point. But that I guess where my stance is that we're playing the Braves, right? We're going into extra innings. You got Riley, Acuna, Albies, right? In the 11th inning. I think I don't know. I just think based off what we have in the lineup, I'll probably go with like an Ottavino over him because he's not a high leverage guy. Like Ottavino is no angel neither. Let's not even get crazy, but we don't have a lot of them. But you kind of don't really see how Michael Tompkins in extra innings serves you any sort of job. I felt like I just feel like there's so many ways to manage this ball club sometimes. And I just feel like we do things so much more harder on our own like accord. And I'm like, man, we're not even 2 weeks in and a guy's getting DFA'd. It just looks bad on us and the people who have made the signings because they've been telling us certain specific situations how we expect them to be. And then just within 15 days of Major League Baseball being played, we haven't seen what we've been told from Jump Street. And I have that problem with the New York Mets. And I didn't think I would have that problem with new voices and a president. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely giving off different vibes, especially when we thought we had depth in the rotation already with Jose Budo and somewhat Joe Lucchesi and some of these kids who are almost primed and ready to.
I don't even know where Lucchesi's at, bro.
I think there's something. He's just not fit right now. He only pitched 1 game in spring training, and that was it. And he was done. They sent him right down. So something is not right with Lucchesi. I don't know if it's something mental or if it's something physical, but he's just not ready. So, Jose Budo is probably way better anyway. Then you got Christian Scott. Joey Lucchese's going to be on the outside looking in like very shortly. Just the same way I feel about McGill. But you know what? When I look at Tonkin, it's not like he made the roster right away like a Jorge Lopez.
Yeah,
like, he was one of the last people to make the roster. And they also have Sean Reed Foley coming off IL.
Yeah, I wanted him. Yeah, I wanted him to start.
I wouldn't put too much. I wouldn't put too much into it. But I do think that these guys need to be on alert that they're on a short leash.
Like, I like
there's
that.
Not a much margin for error. I'm trying to come at it a little differently this season. I'm trying to give these guys the benefit of the doubt because of Stern's first go around. Mendy's learning, so I'm trying to give them as much leeway as possible with the guys that we already have, like Ottavino, like Duran Rivera saying he should only be pitching in lower level leverage situations, and move Lopez up. Lopez has pitched well so far to start the season.
Yeah, he's been okay. I mean, and then I also think they signed Fujinami, who we're gonna see at some point. Free Foley, Reed Garrett was good. Reed Garrett was pretty okay, actually, more than okay, to be fair. So, yeah, short lease, I'm okay with. Your point is very valid. In the past, I mean, who was that Buck guy that we had early on last year that just gave up every walk off?
Dominic Leone.
He was one. I'm talking about another one that we DFA'd.
Trevor Gott.
No, he was terrible too. There was a specific Buck guy from the Orioles, I remember, and he gave up the walk off in Atlanta to Ozzy Albies, and he was only in there for mop up duties. Oh my god, I forgot his name. But anyways, it just felt
I know what you're talking about. I can't think of his name right now.
But to your point, oh yeah, we'll get him next time. He'll stay with the team and get rid of this guy. So you definitely have turned my eyes on that. It's just. I just thought that there would be a better way to handle the guys because I don't think they're absolutely awful. I just think that the handling of them, you know what I'm saying? And look, another guy, he's a starter. I don't even know if he's gonna come back because you don't hear anything. Max Kranick, is another guy. So there, look, Ibby just put it in the comments.
Yeah, Nate Lavender. We have bullpen pieces. So, and at some point, these kids that are coming up. I don't understand why they can't come up through relief first and then start. We never do that. But you got guys like Adam Wainwright who came up as a reliever, who then became a starter and was a really good. Let these guys learn. It's the same thing with the whole Hauser situation. Let them get into trouble. Let them learn and let them become good players.
Yes, I'll give you a name who did that. Spencer Strider.
Another one.
He came up and he was a reliever, and they always knew he would eventually be a starter, but they gave him the opportunity to pitch high level situations, and he showed his stuff. He's just, that's what you do. And you tapped into a name earlier. I don't want to bring it up, but that Mr. Scott individual. Let's hope and pray. Maybe soon, Clock's ticking. So
9 strikeouts through I think 4 innings in his debut.
There's something there. There is something there. I mean, it's hard to ignore that there is something there. I hope the Mets handle it well, but there is something there.
Yeah,
certainly.
Well, Keef, man, first off, I appreciate you coming on with me in a pinch and doing this.
Always, Papi.
We're gonna do more of these. I'm gonna do these all throughout the year. Always love having you on. Had Ibby on and John on before. I had on Rob from Talking Mets with Rob. So gonna rotate guests in and out, but you are always welcome. You're part of that family.
I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for being on here. 282 people watching along with us, previewing the Red Series. Come on. Right?
Reds are going to be fun, man.
They are.
I hope they're not fun this weekend, but they're going to be fun, man. Mets are going to win tonight.
Junior Swingman with the home run to end the show. Jeff Brigham. That's who it was. Jeff Brigham was the guy.
No, it was another guy. It was a true Buckeye. I'm talking about he went far back with Baltimore days, brother.
See, now this is bothering me, and now I got to look up.
He was a very old statesman, very, very veteran. I mean, years in the league. And he just threw lemons down the pipe. Come on.
We're not talking about the guy that got the trade deadline.
No.
In 2022, right?
No. This guy was white.
Here you go.
He's a white reliever.
Let's see.
No, not Givens. Yeah, not Givens.
Not Givens.
It's with an
Tommy
H.
Hunter.
There we go. There we go. Tommy Hunter, the biggest walk-off lemon ever. Yes. He gave up like 3 walk-offs. He gave up a walk-off in Milwaukee last year. He gave a walk-up in Atlanta last year. The guy was a walking walk-off. And then they cut him after Albies went like 500 feet on him. But yeah, that was a Buckeye for years. By the way, Dominic Leone blew a game the other day. Just putting it out there.
Good. Blow it for everybody else now. I still have that little screenshot of him doing this.
Oh yeah, that was
in
funny.
One of the Met games. Like, he was so shocked he gave up a home run.
Yeah, that guy was wow, man. But look, I love talking baseball with you. Ibby, all the other guys, I love it, man. We should just do it like a hub and just all do a show. I don't know how we would do it, but it would be dope. But again, WrestleMania fucked up Shea and Sons week. We will be back next week. I promise y'all that. Baby brother will be on with me, or I will be on recapping, hopefully, what is some Met series wins. And we got Atlanta next week. So they got to get into a groove, man. They got to, because that is the upper echelon. Everybody thinks the Dodgers, Yankees. No. The Atlanta Braves are the best team in baseball, ladies and gentlemen. It's not even close, in my opinion.
Yep. They just gotta continue that into the playoffs. That's the big problem. We know that they're good regular season wise. If they can continue that into the playoffs, it'll be a force to be reckoned with.
Every night I go to bed and I pray for a Diddy scandal in Atlanta, but we'll wait. So.
Yeah, a lot of waiting. Well, thank you everybody tuning in. 286 of you. Appreciate you all. There's just so many names in the chat here. You're all special to us, and we appreciate you. Chiming in, being a part of the conversation. That's what it's all about. We're a huge Mets family, a huge Mets community, and it's just a pleasure, not only sitting across from Shea and Sons virtually and Keef, but obviously your brother is a big part of it as well, a huge part of that, and we'll definitely have both of you on at some point again.
I mean, you guys gotta talk, because I know y'all hockey teams just want to do the Holyfield Tyson thing. I mean, what's going on with that?
Yeah,
I don't know nothing about hockey, but I know it was something. Yeah, I just want to do the UFC thing on ice. So
my Devils had no fight left in them. They're pretty much done for the season. So good luck to your brother's Rangers and their playoff push. I'll be watching from the sidelines this season. I had my champagne last year when we beat them in 7, but
yeah, that was rough. That was rough for the Ranger fans. Yeah, that was rough.
But like I said, man, let's do this again. We'll get your brother on. More shows coming. Make sure once next week starts, you are also not only tuning into my series previews, but Shea and Sons post game and post series previews. Big stuff coming your way. A lot of talent here in the Mets community and the Mets content creator space. So for Anthony Rivera, also podcast came out today. I was with Talking Mets with Mike Silva. He came on the show.
That's awesome.
So make sure you listen to that. That's all audio. I'll probably put up some clips at some point on video, but the audio portion is out. Check it out, and check out Shea and Sons always. For Anthony Rivera, for Keef of Shea and Sons, we appreciate you. Let's go Mets.
Let's go Cody Rhodes.